My daughter laughed at the gift I spent 9 months making, and her husband called me the help in front of everyone like I wasn't even human. And the worst part? She didn't defend me. She just went along with it. I didn't say a word. I just stood there for a second, holding that quilt in my hands, feeling every single pair of eyes in that room slide right past me like I didn't belong there. Then I smiled because that's what you do when you've been underestimated your whole life, and I quietly took it back and walked out. But what they didn't know was that they had just humiliated the one person in that entire place who actually owned it. Let me back up for a second. The baby shower was at this upscale country club just outside Westchester. White tents, string quartet, champagne flutes clinking like something out of a movie. My daughter Ashley was glowing, 7 months pregnant, wearing this soft beige designer dress that probably cost more than my rent back in the day. You'd never guess she grew up in a tiny apartment in Queens where I used to stretch groceries just to get us through the week. Her husband, Trevor, tall, polished, always smiling like he had something to prove, hovered next to her like he owned the world. His mother, Cynthia, was running the whole event like it was her personal production. I was invited, technically, but it felt more like I'd been allowed to attend. I waited until the gifts started. One by one, Ashley opened them: luxury stroller, designer baby bags, monogrammed blankets. People clapped politely, sipping their drinks, making comments about brands I'd never cared to learn. Then she picked up mine. Brown paper, twine, simple. I saw it in her face immediately, that flicker, that hesitation, like she was already embarrassed before she even opened it. She unfolded the quilt slowly. Every square was a piece of her childhood, her first Halloween costume, the little pink dress she wore when she turned 5, a scrap from the blanket she used to carry everywhere until it fell apart. I had stitched tiny dates into each one, memories, pieces of a life I gave everything to build for her. The room got quiet. Cynthia leaned in, pinching the fabric between her fingers like it might stain her. "Oh, this is homemade?" Ashley let out a small laugh. "Mom, we registered at Pottery Barn." I opened my mouth. I was going to explain. I was going to tell her what each piece meant, but Trevor beat me to it. He chuckled, shaking his head. "Babe, your mom works in a cafeteria, right? What did you expect?" A couple people laughed. Not loud, not cruel, just enough. Enough to make it clear where I stood. Ashley didn't say anything. She just placed the quilt down on the gift table like it was nothing. Didn't fold it. Didn't look at me. Just moved on to the next gift, like I hadn't just handed her 9 months of my life. And that wasn't even the worst part. I stayed for maybe 10 more minutes. No one spoke to me. I caught Cynthia whispering to someone across the lawn, heard the word staff this time. So I stood up, walked over, picked up the quilt, folded it properly, and left. No scene. No tears. I'd already cried enough over my daughter years ago. That night, I sat in my apartment in Queens, the same one I'd lived in for decades, and stared at that quilt spread across my kitchen table. And for the first time in a long time, I opened the cabinet I usually kept locked. Inside were files, deeds, accounts, proof of everything I had built, quietly, while the world saw me as just a lunch lady. See, I never told Ashley the truth about my life. Not because I was ashamed, but because I wanted her to grow up understanding the value of work, real work, the kind that leaves your hands tired and your back aching. I thought it would build character. Instead, it built distance. And now, sitting there that night, looking at that quilt she didn't want, I realized something else. There were things about her life that didn't make sense. Trevor's job didn't match their lifestyle. Not even close. The cars, the vacations, the house they were living like people with money they hadn't earned. At the time, I didn't realize how deep it went, but I was about to find out. The next morning, I didn't go to work. I went to my attorney. He looked at me the second I walked in and said, "Something happened." I nodded and slid a folder across the desk. "I need you to review everything, all my assets, and I need a recommendation for someone who can dig into financial records." He leaned back, studying me. "This about your son-in-law?" "Yeah," I said quietly. "Something's off." 2 days later, I was sitting across from a private investigator named Claire Bennett. Sharp eyes, straight to the point. Tell me what you've noticed, she said. So I did. The inconsistencies, the spending, the way Trevor avoided specifics anytime money came up. She didn't interrupt, just took notes. Then she looked up at me and said, "Give me 2 weeks. Before I continue, if you enjoy real-life stories like this, subscribe to the channel and tell me where you're watching from." Because what she found, it changed everything. 2 weeks later, I got the call. I was sitting in my kitchen again, staring at that quilt, when my phone rang. Claire didn't waste time. "Sit down," she said. "I am." There was a pause. Then, "Your son-in-law has been diverting client funds, insurance premiums, hundreds of thousands of dollars." My grip tightened on the phone. "How much?" "Just over 700,000 so far." I felt my stomach drop. But then she said something that made it worse. "A lot of the clients are elderly, fixed incomes. They think they're covered, but they're not." I closed my eyes. People like the ones I served breakfast to every morning. People who trusted the system. "Does my daughter know?" I asked. "No evidence of that," she said. "But he's in deep. And if this comes out, it's going to be bad." I hung up and just sat there in silence. Because now it wasn't just about disrespect. It wasn't just about a quilt. It was about who my daughter had tied her life to. And I realized something in that moment. If I didn't act, innocent people were going to get hurt. So I picked up the phone again, and this time, I called the authorities. And what I planned next, it wasn't just going to expose him. It was going to happen somewhere he'd never expect. Somewhere that would hit harder than anything else. Because in 5 days, I invited all of them back to that same country club, and they still had no idea who really owned it. Those 5 days dragged. Ashley kept calling. First, guilt. "Mom, I'm sorry about the shower. Trevor didn't mean it." Then confusion. "Something's off. He's acting strange." By day 3, it turned into fear. "Mom, people showed up at his office. He won't tell me anything." I listened to every voicemail. I didn't answer. Because if I told her the truth, she wouldn't believe me. Not yet. I still went to work every morning. Same cafeteria. Same seniors, counting every dollar. And all I could think was how many people like them had been smiling at someone like Trevor, trusting him. That's when I knew this wasn't just about me anymore. Saturday came. I arrived early and walked through the empty country club, the polished floors, the sunlight pouring through the windows. I had owned all of it for years, and never once stood there like this. At 1:30, Ashley pulled in. She looked exhausted. "Mom, what's going on? Come inside." Trevor showed up minutes later, tense. His mother, Cynthia, right behind him, already irritated. "Why are we here again?" "Sit down," I said. Something in my voice made them listen. We stood in the main dining room. "I'll make this simple," Trevor said. "I don't have time for this." Ashley looked at me. "Please, Mom." So I said it. "This club, it's mine." Silence. Cynthia laughed. "Excuse me? I bought it 3 years ago," I said calmly. "Every event here, including the shower, you were standing on my property." Trevor's face changed instantly. "That's impossible." "It's not," I said. "I own over 30 properties. I've been investing longer than you've been working." Ashley sank into a chair. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I wanted to see who you'd become without it." Her eyes filled. "You let him humiliate me," I added. "In a place I paid for." "Mom, The doors opened behind us. 2 agents walked in. Trevor turned and froze. "Mr. Carter," one of them said, flashing a badge. "We need to speak with you regarding a financial investigation." Cynthia stepped forward. "There's a mistake." "There isn't." Trevor tried to laugh. "This is insane. We have records of over $700,000 in diverted insurance premiums," the agent said, "mostly from elderly clients." Ashley's voice cracked. "What?" Trevor didn't answer. He just stood there. "It was temporary," he muttered finally. "I was going to fix it." "You used the money for personal expenses," the agent replied. Ashley looked at him like she didn't know him. "Trevor, tell me this isn't real." He couldn't. That silence said everything. They cuffed him right there, in the same room where he laughed at me. Cynthia started yelling, crying, but it didn't matter. Trevor was already being let out. Ashley didn't move. She just sat there, one hand on her stomach, staring into nothing. After they left, the room went quiet. "You knew," she whispered. "Yes." "Before the shower?" "Yes." "Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me?" She didn't answer. Then she broke. "I'm so sorry, Mom. For everything." "I know," I said. "I forgave you." She looked up. "You did?" "Forgiveness isn't the hard part," I said softly. "What comes next is." I showed her the plans. "What is that?" she asked. "I'm tearing this place down," I said. "Building senior housing for the people he stole from." She stared at me. "You're serious?" "I've already started." She wiped her face. "What can I do?" I looked at her. "Are you ready to start over?" That changed everything. She moved out within a week, filed for divorce, started working from the bottom, phones, paperwork, learning everything the hard way, no complaints. Her daughter was born a few months later. She named her after me. 8 months later, we stood on that same land. The country club was gone. In its place, new buildings, affordable homes for seniors who needed them. Ashley stood beside me, holding her baby, wearing jeans and work boots. "You built all of this," she said. "I just kept showing up," I replied. She smiled through tears. "I'm still learning." "You will." Then, she hesitated. "The quilt. Do you still have it?" "Yeah." "Can I have it? For her?" I looked at her. Not the girl who was ashamed of me, but the woman trying to become better. "When you're ready," I said. "How will I know?" "When you stop asking." That night, I went back to my same apartment, same life, because I never needed more. People looked at me and saw a lunch lady. They thought that made me small. But they were wrong. There is nothing small about honest work. And sometimes, the people you underestimate the most are the ones holding everything together the whole time.